Following hot off the heels of Nidoqueen is Nidoking. And if you haven't seen the Nidoqueen video yet, be prepared for spoilers ahead. Nidoking is the Generation 1 speedrunner's Pokemon of choice, and with Nidoqueen getting herself into the top 10 of the leaderboard, Nidoking definitely has a tough act to follow. And very quickly, before we get to Nidoking's half an hour in the spotlight, I want to say thank you to everybody who's popped in on the Twitch streams. It's definitely a whole new world to experience compared to streaming here on YouTube. And if you want to get involved with a lot of the fun that's happening over there, then please do follow me over on Twitch. It's at twitch.tv/trainersquidgy. Although I will warn you, I am far less family friendly on Twitch than I am here on YouTube. So it's not going to be for everyone, but I have an awful lot of fun nonetheless. But that's enough waffling about stuff I'm doing. We've got to turn our attention over to Nidoran Male. So let's now take a look at our stats. We have 20 HP this time at level 5. We're holding a berry and our moves are Leer and Tackle. We've got 11 in attack, 10 in defense, 9 in the specials and 10 in speed. So once again, we're very well rounded in this run. We'll get the graphics up and we are good to go with Nidoran Male. Now, as always, I'll show you the very first encounter we had with a wild Pokemon. In this instance, it was a level 3 Pidgey. I misclicked and used Leer because these moves were in a very silly order, but it didn't make any difference to the number of hits to knock it out. And while we're on the way to Mr. Pokemon's house, I just want to explain how I came to the decision to run Nidoqueen first. I flipped a coin, and Nidoqueen was the result, so I ran Nidoqueen first and Nidoking second. That does unfortunately give Nidoking a little bit of an advantage, because the runs are very similar. I'm going to do my best to make the runs as different as possible, but there will be some convergence points as we go through. Against a wild Ladybug, we learn Horn Attack, which is the equivalent of Scratch for Nidoran Male, and we're going to take on the rival. As with Nidoqueen, the rival has a Totodile, so I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Cyndaquil with Nidoran Male, and it's just 2 shots against the Totodile to knock it out, and we can make our way back to the lab. That rival fight very nicely shows the difference between these lines already. Nidoran Male is a lot more offensively driven and Nidoran Female is a lot more defensively driven. We'll see that more as we progress through the run, but for now we're going to make our way towards Violet City, where the gym is waiting for us. And we got a few more wild encounters than we did with Nidoran Female, and that means we take on the very first Bird Keeper to grow to level 12. Once again at level 12 we learn Double Kick, however we're not going to be using it in this battle. This battle of course being our first gym together, it's Falconer the Flying type specialist who leads with Pidgey. And just like in the Nidoqueen run, he goes for Mud Slap straight away. However, we have Horn Attack instead of Double Kick, and that combined with our slightly higher attack means we're able to get through on our very first attempt. We 3-shot the Pidgeotto and we defeat Falconer in a time of 5 minutes and 55 seconds. I love the symmetry of our first badge time, but we mustn't focus on that. Instead, we're going to say goodbye to Tackle and hello to Mud Slap. Tackle is surplus to requirements, so we'll need Mud Slap for Rival 2, and that's coming up after the Union Cave and Azalea Town. Those extra early wild encounters we had before Falconer paid off dividends as well, because instead of evolving in Ilex Forest, we evolved against Fire Breather Bill. His pair of Coughings very kindly gave us the experience we needed to grow to level 16, and just like we did with Nidoran Female, at level 16 we get the evolution, and we are now a Nidorino. Nidorino is going to be taking us through the middle portion of this run. But now that we're out of the Union Cave, we'll head straight into the Ilex Forest to pick up the HM friends, and the first HM friend this time is Paris. Paris of course is going to help out with Cut, Flash, Sweet Scent and Dig, and the second Pokemon is Psyduck. Psyduck will be helping us out with Surf, Strength, Waterfall and Whirlpool. And with the 2 HM friends safely tucked away for another run, we'll head back into Azalea Town where we're going to take on some gym trainers. Bugcatcher L is getting the spotlight this time because we are going to grow to level 19. And just like Nidorina at level 19, we learn Poison Sting. We're going to replace Leer with Poison Sting. I haven't selected Leer once in this run, so it makes sense to have the chance to poison just in case we come up against a bit of a wall. But right now let's take on Bugsy, our second gym together, the Bug-type specialist who led with Metapod that's been knocked out in 2 Horn Attacks, and Kakuna went the same way as well. That brings us nicely onto the Scyther, and yet again we resist the Fury Cutter. We just keep Horn Attacking it until it goes down, and we're through Bugsy in a time of 12 minutes and 3 seconds. That's an excellent time for the Bugsy split, But as always, we mustn't celebrate for too long because Rival 2 is just around the corner. Nidorino had an awful lot of luck at Rival 2, let's see if Nidorino can match it. He leads with Ghastly and we critical hits a one-shot it, no hypnosis for us. We swap to the Horn attack and it's a two-shot on the Zubat as Supersonic misses, and that just leaves Croconaw. Croconaws Leer fails and the rival is having a real nightmare of it as we knock him out in 3 Horn attacks and we get through in a time of 12 minutes and 40 seconds. In the Ilex Forest we're of course going to get cuts from the Charcoal Maker, and we're also going to pick up headbutts from the green-haired man staring at the tree. Much like in the last run, we're not going to turn down the opportunity to have a flinching move this early on in the game. It's also going to give us a little bit extra in the attacking department. It's only a 5 base power upgrade as opposed to a 30 before, but every little helps in these runs, especially because Nidorina got knocked out at Whitney. We're now going to make our way outside of the Ilex Forest and we're going to pick up our third HM friend. This one of course is Abra. Abra's technically a field move friend as it only learns Teleport, but Teleport is incredibly useful, especially in the Kanto section. There are plenty of times where you need to go somewhere where there's only a Pokemon Center and no fly points. We'll grab the bike and we'll also pick up Kenya at the same time, and that has completed our HM Friends set for another run. And if you want to join the HM Friends, there is a link down in the description. In the National Park, we'll pick up Dig, we'll have a little cycle over to Floria who's staring at a tree for no good reason, and we'll teleport back to Goldenrod City. There's only one thing left for us to do here, and that's battle Whitney. Now Nidorino did struggle in this, so let's see if Nidorino, being level 24, has a better time. She of course leads with Clefairy and it's 2 shots to knock it out. Here comes the Miltank. We double kick the Miltank a couple of times and Rollout just keeps on missing, and then we get into a bit of a loop with her. She keeps milk drinking and we keep double kicking. I considered swapping to Headbutt, but I don't think that would have been enough to KO, so I just waited for one of the double kicks to critical hit, which it eventually did at 17:36, and that is our third badge together. Now that we've got that, we can head next door into the flower shop where Floria and her sister are waiting for us, and that means we can get rid of that pesky tree blocking the way between Ecruteak, Violet and Goldenrod. Before we enter Ecruteak City, we're going to pick up the magnets from Sunny of Sunday, and that's going to give us a delicious 10% boost to our electric type moves. We're not going to be seeing that for a little while though, as we head towards the Lake of Rage. The first rare candy of the run is situated just before that bush, and of course we are going to pick up Hidden Power while we're here. Just like in the Nidorino run, our Hidden Power type is Ground. We want that stab ground before the Pokemon League, so it just makes sense. We'll teach it in place of Mud Slap and we'll head straight into the Burnt Tower where the third rival battle is waiting for us. This of course is Rival 3 and he's going to lead with a very pesky Haunter. This Haunter likes to swear at us, but in this case we outspeed it and we hit it with Hidden Power Ground to knock it out, so no expletives for us so far. We get the opportunity to learn Focus Energy, which we do in place of Poison Sting. We budget Earthquake the Magnemite to take care of that in one shot, and we swap to Headbutts for the Zubat. The Zubat flinches so it can't confuse us, and the final Pokemon is Croconaw. It's 3 Headbutts to knock the Croconaw out, and we are through the third rival battle in a time of 21 minutes and 44 seconds. We'll fall through the floor and then we'll have a little bit of a panic as we're releasing the beasts, as I forgot to do the Kimono Girls. In a stroke of fortune, I remembered it just in time, so we didn't get a time loss, we're just shuffling the order about. We had to go back to the Pokemon Center anyway for PP purposes, so we might as well do it right about now. The Espeon posed no threat there and we get Surf as our reward. It's very lucky we remembered before we got to Olivine City, otherwise we'd be stranded. But with Surf acquired, we can head into the gym where Morty is waiting for us. He's the dual Ghost and Poison type specialist of the region, and he will lead with Ghastly. Yet again, we're going in without the Mint Berry because that worked so perfectly for Nidorina. I'm sure it'll work just the same for Nidorino. We're onto the Gengar and we one-shot it, so it absolutely wasn't worth going to get the Mint Berry early on, and I felt a little bit vindicated in myself. We finish Morty off in a time of 24 minutes and 42 seconds, and that means we can now take on the western parts of Johto. So we'll cycle across Route 39 and into the Moo Moo Farm, where we'll pick up the Mint Berry and the Nuggets once again so we can pick up some vitamins later on. We'll cycle further south and end up in Olivine City. In Olivine City, the first thing we do is grab Strength so that we can get through Chuck's gym puzzle, and then we'll head into the Lighthouse. In the lighthouse, Jasmine is sitting like a lemon waiting for someone to rescue her. I don't think she knows what a phone is, so we had to go to her aid yet again. That means we've got to cross the open seas to Cyanwood City, where of course we'll go into the dodgy shop and pick up the secret potion. We'll be keeping an eye on that though, because I am sure Jasmine's using it for her nefarious ways. While we're here, we'll also take on Chuck, the fighting type specialist. He is our 5th gym leader together and he leads with Primeape. We use Hidden Power Ground against the Primeape to take care of it in 2 shots, and we are on to the Poliwrath. We swap to Headbutt and flinch it twice in a row, but we have no more Headbutt PP remaining. Fortunately for us, the Hypnosis misses, even though we did hold a Minceberry just in case. We get the opportunity to learn Fury Attack, which we decline, and we have earned the Storm Badge in a time of 30 minutes and 24 seconds. We'll get Fly off Chuck's wife now, and yet again it's time for doing that sweep up of all the bits we need in Johto. The first thing we're going to do this time is pick up the rare candy east of the Tojo Falls. We'll pop our heads into the Tojo Falls so that we can pick up the Moonstone. That'll mean we can evolve at a time of our choosing. Next, we're going to fly into Violet City, where we've got a rare candy waiting for us the other side of this pond, and we're also going to ascend the Sprout Tower while we're here. At the top of the Sprout Tower, our reward is going to be Flash. Flash will help us out in the Whirl Islands as well as Mount Silver, and if we have to go anywhere else, it will as well. We'll head into Azalea Town and the Slowpoke Well after this. And in there, a very kind man with glasses is going to gift us a King's Rock. That will let us flinch any opponents of our choosing. We'll now head south of Goldenrod City to pick up the rare candy and the nuggets. We'll now make our way into the department store where we're going to pick up the TM4 return, and while we're here we're going to get a couple of every punching move as well. Those punching moves prove to be very, very handy for Nidoqueen, and I expect it's going to be just the same for Nidoking. We also need to remember to pick up the soft sand while we're here, and that means we're taking on the trio of cool trainers. And we actually struggled a little bit more against these cool trainers with Nidorino than we did with Nidorina. We had Bite on our learn set before, and that was a very, very handy move to make sure we got through the Shelder line. Of course, we don't have any special attacks at all as a Nidorino, and that can really prove to be costly with some of these very bulky defensive Pokemon. But we got through and we're on to the Red Gyarados, which we knock out in just 3 headbutts. We get the red scale, and that gives us a chance to chat with Lance. I can inform you that nothing at all happened at all in the Mahogany Underground. It was all a fever dream for Lance. He gives us the Whirlpool HM as an apology, and then we head into the gym. Of course, gym number 6 is Price's Ice-type gym. He is the Ice-type specialist who leads with that not Ice-type seal. Once again, we're going to start headbutting this seal, and we flinch it to knock it out in 2 shots. Out next is the Dugong. We double kick on the first turn and then swap to headbutts for the second turn, and we get rid of it in just 3 hits. And finally, it is Piloswine time. Double kick is just enough to keep the Piloswine out of healing range, and we finish it off, and we get Price's Glacier badge in a time of 40 minutes and 59 seconds. That's 6 badges acquired. Let's now make our way back towards Olivine City. We're going to ascend the lighthouse once more, and we're going to give that secret potion to Jasmine. Now, Jasmine behaved herself in the last run, and that lets me give her a little bit of trust. Or at least that's what we want Jasmine to think. Instead, we're taking this opportunity to evolve in front of Amphi so we can give it a little bit of questioning to see if it's feeling better. We got no response from it though. I think it's in cahoots with Jasmine all along. And of course, while we're here, we're going to get rid of Double Kick and replace it with Fire Punch. And with all that out of the way, we can cycle into Jasmine's Steel-type gym. She's our 6th gym leader together. She's a Steel-type specialist who leads with Magnemite. Now, poor Magnemite, it's still 4 times weak to Hidden Power Ground, so we Budget Earthquake it away and we Fire Punch the Steelix. Steelix survives on what looks like 1 HP, and she gets herself stuck in a healing loop. On turn number 2, we get the burn, and that means we don't have to do a 3rd Fire Punch, and instead we can shift our way onto the Magnemites, which goes down to a single Hidden Power Ground, and we get the Mineral Badge in a time of 42 minutes and 25 seconds. We'll now fly over to Goldenrod City, where the 4th rival battle is waiting for us. He's going to lead with Golbat this time, and let's hope we don't get confused. We use Headbutt and we don't get the flinch, but he goes for Wing Attack for no good reason, so we knock it out on our second turn, and here comes the Feraligatr. Water Gun is still absolutely useless as we keep headbutting it away, and we knock it out on our 3rd turn, so he sends out Sneasel. We go to headbutt for Sneasel because we don't have the double kick, and that's just a 2 shot, and that brings us on to the 2 Pokemon that are weak to ground. Both Magnemite and Haunter are easy 1 hits with Hidden Power Ground, and we defeat the 4th rival battle in a time of 46 minutes and 25 seconds. So let's now get ourselves prepped for the 8th gym battle together. We're going to say goodbye to Focus Energy, which has not been touched once in this run, and we'll say hello to Ice Punch, and we're also going to swap Headbutts for return once more. As I mentioned in the last run, it's about this point in the challenge where the base power of return is significantly higher than Headbutt, and so we can use the King's Rock to flinch. Marie very kindly gave us a King's Rock, and then we won the quiz at the reception to win a radio card. So let's now fly back to Mahogany and head east because the route is now unblocked into the Ice Path. In the Ice Path we'll get HMO7, which is Waterfall. We'll teach that along with Whirlpool at the same time to Psyduck, and while we're here we'll grab the Nevermelt Ice for the 10% boost to our Ice type moves. We're going to forgo holding that for now though because we need all the money we can get, so we're holding the Scamulet coin as we take on Claire. Claire is our 8th gym leader together, the actual Dragon type specialist, who leads with Dragonair. Ice Punch without the Nevermelt Ice is an easy one-shot on the first 2 Dragonair, and here comes the Kingdra. Now we have a bit of an issue against this Kingdra. It is dealing huge damage with Surf. We're not quite strong enough to knock it out even when I tried holding the Nevermelt Ice, so instead we're going to replace Fire Punch with Sunny Day. That felt very counterintuitive to do, but Sunny Day of course reduces the power of water type moves. In this gym battle, the Dragonair are trivial. The only thing that matters is the Kingdra. We're back onto it and we set up the sun straight away. We are comfortably in the green now with Kingdra's Surf, and that puts us in much better stead to actually get through this battle. Claire gets herself healed up with a Hyper Potion, and it's just 3 further Ice Punches to knock it out. We'll now go on to the final Dragonair, which is a single hit with the Ice Punch, and we acquire our 8th and final Jotonian gym badge in a time of 58 minutes and 12 seconds. Goodness me, that Claire fight was much trickier because of our lower defences. It just shows that attack isn't everything. But now let's make our way back to New Bark Town, where we're going to start surfing east because we've got to go to the Pokemon League. As we're heading towards Victory Road, we replace Sunny Day with Shadow Ball as Sunny Day has served its purpose, and then we're going to do some more chopping and changing to the Learn Set as well. We pick up TM26, which contains Earthquake, and we're going to say goodbye to Hidden Power Ground and hello to Earthquake instead. Not keeping Double Kick on the Learn Set frees up a slot so that we can learn Earthquake as soon as possible, and we're going to test it out against the 5th and final rival battle. He led with Sneasel, and Earthquake was an easy one-shot as it was against the Kadabra as well. Here comes the Feraligatr. We take it deep into the yellow as Water Gun dribbles all over us, and he brings out the Golbat. We swap to Ice Punch for the Golbat and knock it out in a single hit, and then we've just got the 2 weak to ground Pokemon left to go. We decide to tease the Haunter with an Ice Punch, but we swap back to Earthquake for the Magneton. We're through the rival battle without taking much damage at all in a time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Let's now make our way into the league and we'll heal up whether we need it or not. We'll then say thank you to the HM friends. So it's a big thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. You've all been a very big help in the Johto region, so get some well-deserved rest as Nidoking takes on the league. Before we take on the league though, we're going to look at our stats. We are level 53 with 172 HP. We're holding the Scamulet coin and our moves are Earthquake, Ice Punch, Shadow Ball and Return. In terms of the stats, we're 137 in attack, 122 in defense, 132 in special attack, 122 in special defense and 128 in speed. Let's see if that's enough to take us through the gauntlet of 4 trainers and a liar as we take on Will. Will of course is a Psychic type specialist who leads with Xatu. Shadow Ball makes mincemeat of Xatu and we're on to the Jinx. Jinx of course has very low physical defense, and Shadow Ball being physical, it's a one-hit wonder. We don't quite one-shot the Slowbro, but 2 Shadow Balls takes care of it, and here comes Xatu number 2. Xatu number 2 is a one-hit as well, and that just leaves Executor left to go. It's a one-shot on the Executor, and we're through Will on our first try in a time of 1 hour, 40 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's keep it up for Koga. We swap to Fire Punch for the Koga, and we knock out the Ariados in one single hit. Exactly the same happens against the Venomoth, so he sends out a Fortress. I don't know what he was thinking here because that thing's 4 times weak to our Fire Punch. Here comes the Crobat and I misclick and use Earthquake. It doesn't matter though because the return critical hits and one-shots it, and that just leaves Muck left to go. We go for a critical hit return to knock it out, and we are through Koga in a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 17 seconds. Let's now swap back from Fire Punch to Ice Punch for Bruno. Bruno of course being a fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. Now old short spinny legs likes to go and dig, but it doesn't get a chance to do it this time as Earthquake knocks it out in one. Hitmonchan goes down to the same fate, so he tries with legs the Hitmonlee instead. 3 one-shots against the Hitmons takes care of those, so he tries with an Onyx. Unfortunately for him, we foiled his plan with an Ice Punch, and Bruno's last chance to make anything of this battle is with Machamp. Unfortunately for him, he gets straight into a healing loop with Earthquake, and 3 of them knock him out, and we're through Bruno in a time of 1 hour 6 minutes and 2 seconds. The 4th and final league member, of course, is Karen, who leads with Umbreon. We Earthquake the Umbreon for over half damage, and Sand Attack fails, and that's the perfect start to this battle. Ice Punch is strong enough to one-shot the Vileplume with Nidoking, and we're on to the Murkrow. Murkrow's an easy one-hit as well, and that just leaves the 2 Pokemon weak to ground. This is feeling a little bit like Rival 5, isn't it? The 2 Pokemon weak to ground at the end are both one-hits, and we are through all 4 league members in a time of 106.41. That just leaves one obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame. It is, of course, Lance, the liar with the Flyers, who leads with Gyarados. We don't need to teach Thunder Punch for this battle, as Return makes mincemeat of Gyarados in 2 hits. The rain being up doesn't matter for the rest of the battle, so we can take the 2 turns against the Gyarados, and then just like it was with Nidoqueen, these 2 level 47 Dragonites are a one-shot apiece with Ice Punch. And that brings us on to Scarodactyl. Scarodactyl survives but gets frozen, so it can't do anything at all to us. We grow to level 57 and his next Pokemon is Charizard. It's as simple as 2 hits with Return to take care of the Charizard, and that just leaves his level 50 Dragonite. That, of course, being 4 times weak to Ice, stood no chance against Ice Punch, and we are through Lance in a time of 107.36. And our final league time is 1 hour 7 minutes and 52 seconds. So far, Nidoking is really showing why it's speedrunner's choice in the Generation 1 games. Let's see if that continues, because there's still 8 badges and a red fight left to come. So don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we are back, where it all began outside our home in Newbark Town. Professor Elm gives us a phone call and gives us the SS tickets for popping into his lab, and on our way out of the lab he asks us to say goodbye to Jazz. That seems a little bit naughty to me. I think those 2 are up to no good. But in the meantime we must focus on welcoming back Kenya, Abra, Psyduck and Beyond Venu to Paris. The HM friends are back in the party after their lovely rest, and I'm sure you've noticed my favourite music going on in the background. That means we're going to spend all our money. Mr. Move Tutor is waiting for us, and we are going to teach Thunderbolt in place of Shadow Ball. Thunderbolt and Ice Punch are a fantastic pairing of moves to take around the Kanto region, but before we get there we've got to pick up a couple of rare candies. The first one, of course, is in Mount Malta, and the second one is in the Whirl Islands. We pick up these at this point in the run because you need Waterfall for one, and the other one is right on our doorstep. But now we're in Kanto, and the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to pick up another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. With all of those rare candies safely put away in our bag, we can cycle north into Saffron City. It's only a fleeting visit though, as we are heading to Celadon. In Celadon we've got a couple of bits and bobs to pick up. The first thing, of course, being the leftovers from the bin in the cafe, and the second thing being the PP up in the bush. But with both of those picked up, we can turn our attention to Erica. Erica is our 9th gym leader together. She is a grass type specialist who led with a fainted Tangler. Victory Bell goes down the same way with an Ice Punch. We grow to level 59 as the Jumpluff comes out. Jumpluff, of course, being 4 times weak to ice, is no match for our Icy Boxing Glove, and neither is the Blossom. She gets caught in a healing loop once more, and just a couple more punches knocks it out, and we get our first Cantonian gym badge in a time of 1 hour 12 minutes and 57 seconds. Up next is Misty. Misty is one of the very few gym leaders we have the type disadvantage to. That doesn't show against the Golduck though, as Thunderbolt is more than capable of knocking it out. We swap to Earthquake for the Quagsire as it's part ground type, and that's an easy one hit as well, and it's back to Thunderbolts for the Lapras. A critical hit makes sure it goes down in one single hit, and then the Starmie is no use either. That's Misty done in a time of 1 hour 17 minutes and 11 seconds. Our third Cantonian gym leader is Sabrina. Now Sabrina has a very weak physically defensive team, and that shows against the Peskeon. That goes down without a sand attack, and so does Mr. Mime. The third and final Pokemon is Alakazam, which is paper thin in the defensive department, so we get through Sabrina in a time of 1 hour 17 minutes and 45 seconds. That was one of my quickest ever Sabrina splits, and I was very happy about that. It is absolutely no different for the Cantonian gym leaders with Surge. Him being an electric type specialist means he has no chance whatsoever. Raichu and Electabuzz are both simple one-shots as we take a tiny bit of quick attack damage in the process. The first and second Electrode are both one-hits as well with Earthquake, and his final Pokemon is Magneton. That is no good for him either. 4 times weak to ground, gets knocked out, and we get the Thunder Badge in a time of 1 hour 18 minutes and 59 seconds. The final gym leader in this rapid fire gauntlet is Brock. We're just going to stick to Earthquake for the most part against Brock because I want to preserve my Thunderbolt PP as much as possible. We're going to try and do this particular part of the run with as little healing as possible. If we can save our stronger moves for stronger opponents, then we have to heal less, and that means we save a little bit of time. With Nidoking being on an excellent time anyway, I thought it was only appropriate to try my absolute hardest, and that got us the Boulder Badge in a time of 1 hour 20 minutes and 43 seconds. I don't think we're at Kangaskhan levels with this run, but we have still done very, very well, and I am incredibly excited to do the redo streams of these in a few months' time. I have learnt a lot about the Nidos, and doing the second run with both of them, it will feel like the third and fourth run respectively, and I think that's going to give us a huge advantage over other redo streams. But now let's turn our attention to Blaine. Blaine is the Fire-type specialist who leads with Magcargo. Magcargo is of course 4 times weak to ground, so gets knocked out with a single Earthquake, as does the Bumhead Fireduck. That just leaves Rapidash left to go. It's another Earthquake to knock it out, and we get the Volcano Badge in a time of 1 hour 21 minutes and 59 seconds. Our penultimate gym leader is everyone's favourite pushover, it's Janine. Janine leads with Crobat, which gets knocked out in a single hit, so she sends out her Venomoth. We use Earthquake on the Venomoth to easily take care of that in one hit, and we do exactly the same with the Ariados. She's got a pair of Weezing left to go, and both of those are 2 times weak to the Earthquakes. So it's 1-2 combo to knock them both out, and we obtain the Soul Badge in a time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 41 seconds. Our final gym leader, of course, is Blue. Blue is a mixed-type specialist who leads with Pidgeot. We start off with a Thunderbolt against the Pidgeot, and we easily knock it out in one hit. Alakazam's next with its paper-thin defense, and a critical hit return makes mincemeat of it. The third Pokemon is Gyarados. Gyarados being 4 times weak to Thunderbolt stud, 0 chance whatsoever. It's Rhydon versus Nidoking, and Nidoking's Ice Punch is an easy one hit. His second to last Pokemon is Arcanine. Arcanine is weak to ground, and we Earthquake it away in a single hit, and that just leaves Executor. Ice Punch takes it deep into the red, and he can't heal because he's stuck in Solar Beam. We finish it off with one last Ice Punch, and we get through that badge in a time of 1 hour 23 minutes and 53 seconds. And now with all 16 badges acquired, there's only one thing left to do. We'll have a little chat with Professor Oak, who's going to unlock Mount Silver via the Pokemon League gate, and that is where our final battle is awaiting us. Before we engage Red in battle though, there is one last rare candy to pick up, and it's just the other end of Mount Silver. But with all 10 rare candies acquired and a spring in our step, we can now face Red. Red, of course, is a mixed-type specialist who leads with Pikachu. Pikachu is an easy one-shot with the Earthquake, and we are on to Espeon. Espeon outspeeds and Psychic knocks us out. It's time to use our first 3 rare candies. We are now at level 68, let's see if we do any better this time. Quick Attack deals negligible damage, and we are only missing 4 HP as the Espeon comes back out. We now outspeed, and we get a very lucky critical hit to at least see how the Snorlax is going to be. Earthquake takes off roughly a third worth of health, so we can survive as long as we don't get paralysed by the Body Slam. 2 further Earthquakes and we're on to the Blastoise. We take it down to just under half health with a Thunderbolt, but Surf comes and ruins our day and knocks us out. Let's use another 3 rare candies. We are now at level 71. Pikachu's Quick Attack deals a tiny amount of damage, but we're close to full health for the Espeon. However, we don't one-shot it with Earthquake, and that means I'm going to use the final 4 rare candies. These 4 rare candies combined and a little bit of luck and crossing the fingers will hopefully mean the Espeon is a one-shot from here on out. Pikachu is irrelevant, so we hit the Espeon with the Earthquake and we knock it out in a single hit. That brings us on to the Snorlax. Snorlax is now in 2-shot range, so we are at full health for the Blastoise. This is absolutely the best situation we have been in so far for this red battle. It's a 2-shot on the Blastoise as he rain dances instead of attacking us, and so we try an Ice Punch against the Venusaur. We don't get the freeze, but a very lucky critical hit with Earthquake knocks it out, and there's just Charizard left to go. Thunderbolt is super effective, we knock it out, and we get our final red time of 1 hour 27 minutes and 50 seconds. And that means despite our lower defences, we have beaten Nidoqueen's time by almost 6 minutes. 1 hour 27.49 for Nidoking, 1 hour 33.27 for Nidoqueen. No change at the top of the leaderboard, but Heracross is now in the drop zone on page 1. And of course that means that Persian is now heading up the leaderboard on page 2. It was a short but sweet time for Persian in the top 10, but he can be proud of leading page 2. Fortress is in the drop zone in 50th place, and now we have Corsola, Sunflora and Paul Magcargo on page 3. But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. If you've enjoyed this run, please do click the like button. If you want to see more runs just like this, then think about subscribing. But in the meantime, I will say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you all very, very soon.